Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by Full Sail University, offering a variety of master's degree programs in data and technology-related fields, including an innovation and entrepreneurship master's. To learn more about Full Sail's master's degree programs, visit fullsail.edu/TWiST. And by Audible.com, a leading provider of spoken audio information and entertainment. Listen to audiobooks whenever and wherever you want. Visit audible.com/TWiST for your free audiobook. And by AWS Activate, the Amazon Web Services startup program. It's easy to start and scale your business with AWS. Visit aws.amazon.com/activate.
Hey everybody, today on This Week in Startups, the founder of Home Hero, my latest angel investment, and a company that I think is the next Uber. They are providing a marketplace for home attendants. It is amazing. It's going to change the world, and the business is absolutely crushing it. You're going to learn a lot about building a marketplace on today's This Week in Startups. Stick with us.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah, money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah, we ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis. Welcome to This Week in Startups, the program where we talk about startup companies creating new products and services that matter in the universe. We do it twice a week. We've been doing it for 5 years. There are hundreds of episodes. The first couple of hundred are okay. The last couple of hundred are pretty darn good, I would say. And we've had everybody on the program, the founder of Uber, Chris Sacca, Travis from Uber, Chris Sacca, the investor in Twitter and Uber, Evan Williams, Mark Cuban. You name an entrepreneur, they've been on the program pretty much. And why do we do this? Because we're all learning. I'm an entrepreneur, an angel investor. If you're watching this, you're probably an entrepreneur. You might be an investor, or you might be aspiring to be one of those things. And this is a way for all of us to share best practices, stories about being an entrepreneur. And being an entrepreneur is basically the same as taking your head and slamming it into a brick wall over and over again. And then one day when you go to slam it into the brick wall, you know, the brick wall's not there, or it knocks down. One of those two. The metaphor is horrible, but it is kind of the truth. Being an entrepreneur is hard. Hey, but you know, something that makes it easier is having a great place to work like we work. What a segue, huh? What a professional segue that was. I'm so proud of myself. I'm getting good at the radio thing. And WeWork built me this beautiful studio here at the Golden Gate office in San Francisco, Central Market neighborhood, where Twitter is, where Zendesk is. A bunch of folks are over here. But anyway, the WeWork folks are just fantastic. WeWork.com. They're in New York, Chicago, Boston. London's coming, DC's coming, Israel's coming, Seattle, LA, DC, Boston, New York are already on the map. Great place to work, and you just plug and play. Boom. It's like $500-$600 a desk, a couple thousand for an office. Super cheap, super affordable. You don't have to sign a lease. You just come and go as you please. Anyway, it's fantastic how easy it is to be an entrepreneur these days. And hey, if you are an entrepreneur and you want to be on the secret mailing list, go to twistlist.co. Twistlist.co is where the super fans of This Week in Startups hang out in a Google group and discuss the show. And being in a startup, we limit it to like 250 people or so. So it's kind of a cool list. Anyway, today on the program, Kyle Hill is the co-founder, and CEO of Home Hero, which is an awesome startup that I'm lucky enough to be an angel investor in. And they would be on the show even if I wasn't. Actually, if I am an angel investor in it, there's even more reason for the person to be on the show, because it means out of the 500 pitches I get every month, they've crossed some benchmark that I, Jason Calacanis, thinks is good. And listen, I've hit some good home runs, Thumbtack and Uber. And when I saw your business, Kyle, Home Hero, I just had this vision of Thumbtack or Uber again, where like this thing could scale to the moon. My God, it's tiny right now, but holy cow, this could grow quickly and be something super meaningful in the world. So tell everybody, what is Home Hero?
Yeah, well, we are a marketplace, and our vision is to help families find in-home non-medical caregivers.
Okay.
And basically just make it more affordable and a lot easier in the search process, and then help them and manage those caregivers, especially from far away. And
so these caregivers, what is the industry term for a caregiver like this? Because Where do they fall? What's the name of it?
Yeah, so we refer to our caregivers as heroes.
Okay, which is great.
But specifically, the people that we're looking for on our supply side are non-medical in-home caregivers.
In-home caregivers.
Yeah. And they're doing anything from companionship to transportation to meal preparation and shopping, anything that is considered non-medical in-home help, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. Bathing, changing, all this stuff.
Personal care, hygiene.
Yep. Do compliance with medication or any other physical therapy, does that come in or no?
We can do medication reminders and we can do physical therapy, but no injections of any sort. Anything that a nurse would do, that's considered home health.
That's home health.
And we don't do home health yet.
So a home hero is a caregiver that we would have for my grandmother, God rest her soul, in her last couple of years, we had to have somebody come by every day and make sure she got out of bed and she did something that day, walked around, or whatever, ate meals, and just basically check in on her. How big is this market? And why did you decide to go into this?
Yeah, so I'll answer the second question, and one of the reasons is it is a massive market. You're looking at about a $40 billion market, and that's on the books. I think that's just what home care agencies report, and we believe there's probably another $20 billion on top of that of just non-reported caregivers. My father, for example, he's the primary caregiver for at least for a while for my grandmother, but he's paying, obviously that's off the books, and any caregivers that he hires, he's probably paying under the table. And so
somebody just gives cash to somebody for 2 or 3 hours a day. And what do these people typically get paid?
Well, at Home Hero or in the industry?
Yeah, give us the whole range. So in the industry, is there some 800-pound gorilla, and what do they charge? And then what do people pay off the books?
Well, this was one of the reasons that made this industry so interesting to me, particularly, was you have dissatisfied customers and you have dissatisfied caregivers. If you're going to find in-home care right now, you have essentially two options. You can go to Craigslist, and you're going to really get what you pay for. It's very typically low quality. You're going to roll the dice. You're going to pay probably around $12 to $15 an hour for your caregiver, but there's completely no accountability. There's no background check. You have no
you don't know if they're a citizen.
Who knows?
If they have a criminal background, nothing.
So you're really rolling the dice, and there are good people out there. There really are, but there's also some horror stories, and some of them have unlucky enough to find the really bad caregivers. On the other side, you can go to a home care agency, and we compare them to the H&R Blocks of the tax world, where you're going to get the more personal touch, but it's extremely expensive. You're looking at about $25 an hour for care.
Wow!
So
that adds up quick.
Yeah, and for a live-ins, which a lot of our clients need, where you have somebody there 24/7, you're going to pay upward $380 a day.
Wow!
And so you can see that there's just this massive gap between really what we would call high quality, and then you're going to pay $25 an hour, and then you have really the low quality listing services like Craigslist or Care.com, and you're going to pay $12, $15 an hour, and there's really nothing in between. And so where Home Hero comes in and say, we're going to be at the price point of Craigslist at $15 an hour, and we're going to be even higher quality than the home care agencies.
Wow.
And that's when you really have a
How do you do that?
Product.
I mean, so the company that's charging, the big agency companies are charging $25, you can come in and outfox them and do a better job than they do for $15 or $18 an hour or something. How do you do that?
Well, that's where technology comes in.
Yeah.
The first point is we're not employing the caregivers. So they are independent care providers. And so we don't have to deal with the costs that go along with W-2 or hiring an employee.
Gotcha.
So that's a large part of it. The second part,
So you don't own the relationship with them. They could go work for any agency they want. They can come and go as they please. They work for Home Hero. They could work for Home Hero's competitors.
Yeah, we're considered a domestic referral agency, and so which is a legal term or classification rather of home care companies. And our goal is to match the families with independent care providers, but we are not their employer. We don't tell them what time to show up. We don't actually dictate their price.
Right.
We have a recommended price on our website, which is about $15 an hour, $180 a day. But there's a pretty strong deviation around that, higher and lower.
Here's the site. I'll pull it up in front of the screen here for people who are listening and not watching. It's beautifully designed site, and it was one of the reasons why I was so keen to invest in your companies, because I thought, wow, you've executed so well. It's so beautiful. And here we have it. I see Cynthia Driscoll here from Los Angeles, and it says 5+ CNA, mobile verified, has client references, certified nurse assistant, 5+ years experience, beautiful photography, and you made a video. So what's the story with the videos, and why is that important?
Yeah. So the idea with the video is essentially we want to completely eliminate the interview process, because we realize.
Let me play for a second.
Yeah,
I'll
sure.
play it because we'll hear what they say.
Now, and I adore it. I've been a caregiver for approximately 7 years. The opportunity to bring quality of life to people who are so in need of it. I find that the details are different with each family. There's a lot of sensitivity and a certain type of intelligence to see what someone else is about and drop yourself in your own issues. It's an opportunity to bring and make such a difference in the quality of people's lives.
Okay, so there you have it. She's just telling a little bit about herself and I guess why she does what she does. But why did you choose to do video? Because isn't that expensive?
Well, we feel like it's worth it. I think that when you're building a technology company, especially in the healthcare space, we looked at it and said, there are a lot of areas where we feel that we could innovate with technology and to bring that price point down. So if you look at a home care agency, a lot of their costs are going to be they have a lot of marketing costs, a lot of sales costs. They do a lot of manual, like Excel sheets, managing schedules of the caregivers, and they're doing a lot of on the phone and calling. And so we replace a lot of that with technology. Where we don't want to replace is the human touch. So you always get a phone call, and then with these caregivers, you can imagine how much better of an experience it is for a user that's looking for a caregiver to see a real live video of that caregiver before they're sent in your home and not have to just look at a CV or a resume. So we have the onboarding process it's a very strenuous process for a caregiver. We only accept about 10 or 20% of the caregivers. So the ones that do make it through, it's worth it to give them a high definition video interview. And then it really saves you as the care seeker the time from actually having to go and interview these caregivers in person.
Because that's what everybody always says is like, hey, if I could hear their voice, I could look in their eyes, I can tell, right? Like you get a certain sense from a person. And if you think about like the blind Craigslist sort of listing, and then maybe a reference check from like some of the big agencies, like this is the best thing is just like if I can hear you speaking. And then if you look here, the quick look, I love this along the side. I have to say the site was really designed well. And you come out of the science incubator, accelerator. We've had Mike Jones and Peter Pham on the program before. So they're really good at this stuff because they have dog vacay. And in a way, this is like similar to dog vacay, right? A lot of lessons from dog vacay that they could apply here.
Certainly. I mean, having dog vacay in the same family, if you will, was really helpful, especially on the technology side. We don't have to reinvent the wheel in a lot of areas. And they have essentially the same three constituents. You know, you have the care seeker, you have the host, in their case is the caregiver, and then you have the care receiver, in our case is the senior. For them, in their case, it's my bulldogs,
right? My bulldogs are staying with a caregiver.
Certainly different, but there are a lot of overlap in product.
I tell you what the most interesting thing is the hours to respond, because I saw that that was like a dog vacay thing as well, and then the response rate 70% of the time they respond or whatever. Like that's like something where the caregiver like can really focus on improving that metric, getting back to clients very quickly, giving them a yes or no answer if they're going to watch the dogs or not. Because some people don't want to watch bulldogs because bulldogs have issues with health issues. So it could be a little challenging. All right, when we get back from commercial break, I want to talk a little bit about how the business is doing, scaling a business like this, just where you're going on a product basis too, because it seems to be mobile would be amazing for this company in particular when we get back on This Week in Startups. Yes, Full Sail University's online innovation and entrepreneurship master's degree program is an intensive 12-month program where you will learn the process for developing a tech-based product or service. Sound familiar? It's just like This Week in Startups, except it's even more intense. And the course includes critical components of building a startup like ideation, product design, development, financial strategies, etc. And they're all taught by industry-experienced instructors. Jacob here went to Full Sail University and had a great experience That's why we're allowing them to be partners on the program. We have to make sure we can stand by these, partners, and we do stand by this partner, Full Sail University. They have other master's degrees programs, including internet marketing, business intelligence, and public relations. You can learn more about Full Sail's master's degree program in innovation and entrepreneurship, or any of their other related programs by checking out fullsail.edu/twist. fullsail.edu/twist. Okay. Thanks a lot, Full Sail University, and everybody follow Full Sail on the Twitter. Okay. Let's get back to this amazing program. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to This Week in Startups. I'm your host, Jason Calacanis. You can follow me on Twitter @Jason. And you can follow thisweekinstartups.com at TWI Startups on the Twitter and on the Instagram. We posted those on the regular. And we're here at WeWork Studios in San Francisco. I do the show twice a week. We have amazing guests, and today is no different. We have Kyle Hill on the program. He's the co-founder and CEO of Home Hero. Always we got to get that right? Because you have a co-founder. And never want the co-founder to feel left out. And Home Hero, as we're hearing, is a marketplace that helps families find, hire, and manage in-home caregivers for seniors. Mm-hmm. So this isn't babysitting. This is for seniors. This is legitimate, serious stuff. Now, the site is incredibly well designed, and you've been out for how many weeks now? What's the performance been like on building a marketplace like this?
Yeah, well, with any marketplace, you have to seed the supply first, and we
seed the supply.
Yeah, you have to.
In your case, that is caregivers.
The caregivers, and we spent the first. So we've been at it about a year, a little over from the early beginning. We started about May, and the first couple months, we just spent, honestly, Jason, we spent a lot of time learning. We were talking to skilled nursing facilities and geriatric care managers, and we were in hospitals and assisted living facilities. We were talking to caregivers. We were going to caregiver meetup groups, and we were just sucking in information. We had about a landing page, and that was it for the first 3 months.
And you knew nothing about this? Did you have any, did you work in this business before?
Where the idea really came to us initially when I just saw a lot of the problems my dad went through finding in-home care for my grandmother, who's 95.
Okay.
And we went through agencies, and we went through Craigslist, and we found some caregivers that were probably less desirable, and one of our caregivers was stole from my father, and we had no idea.
Really?
There was very little accountability of what's going on when you're there, if they even show up. My dad was sending checks in the mail across the country. He lives in Ohio. My grandma's in Seattle. It was a mess. And what I realized was that finding the caregiver is 25% of the battle. Managing that caregiver, especially from far away, was where I thought the big opportunity was. And so when you look at these listing services, Craigslist, Care.com, they're all built to help you find a caregiver. But God, there's millions of people that just need help managing that care.
And so how do you do that? How do you manage them post hiring them? So let's assume you do a great job with the video, the background check. And let's talk about that background check for a second. What is the background check? How do you do that? And how much does that cost you to do? I
think the background check is the bare minimum of what a screening process should be in a marketplace. So when we find our caregivers, we go through about a 50-point checklist of things that they need to pass. And again, like I said, it was 10 to 20% of our caregivers actually pass the screen. So really
80% don't make it in.
Don't make it in.
Wow, that's a lot of
what do we look for? They have to have a smartphone. They have to have a car. They have to have at least 2 non-family references. We are requiring a CNA now, so you have to have it's a 6-week certification program. You have to have obviously a background check, a clean criminal record. You have to live within right now in just the Los Angeles area. You have to be licensed and documented to work in the United States. You have to have an email address. You have to have a U.S.-based bank account, so we can do ACH deposits. We don't do any checks right into the bank account. And so once you pass all of those, we actually go and we call your references, your past references.
You call them?
We call them, every single one of them.
Wow.
And we ask them, say, well, how would this person do? Would you recommend them to somebody else?
I bet you the fact that you ask for a reference eliminates people who are not very good.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to it takes so much work for somebody who was bad to go find good references to scam it, that they would just be like, I'll just keep getting clients on Craigslist. Where if somebody who's good, when you're good, you can't wait to give references. You're like, oh my God, I've got 10 people who are going to.
They've got a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what we also realize is it's really hard to fake too, because we ask them such specific questions. What was the rate? What days did they show up? How often? What did they do there? Did you do trade care?
Oh, really? So do you get ones where people are like, can't answer the questions?
Occasionally.
And what happens then? You just go back to the person. You're like, hey, you didn't fit?
Yeah.
Not a fit?
I mean, it's a pretty organic process. I mean, you can tell the caregivers that really, really want to do it and they really love being there. And like Cindy, who you just saw, I mean, if you can see it in her video, she genuinely likes her job. She loves her job.
It sounds to me like it costs you at least $100, $200 to put somebody in the system in terms of time. It takes a couple of hours. You're making a video. This is a couple $100 in expense to put somebody in?
It was at the beginning. It really was expensive at the beginning, which we didn't mind. If we're going to go deep on something, might as well be the quality of your supply. Wow. Totally fine. But obviously, as we scale and we grow, we've been able to get that price point down anywhere from about $30 to $40 now. So what we do now is most of the interview or the application process will happen online. Right. So they'll answer all those questions online. They do an interview online. We listen to the interview, and then what we'll do is if they've kind of passed the initial screen, we'll invite them in for group orientation sessions. And we have onboarding stations in 5 regions around Los Angeles. Well, they come in every single day. We have a different orientation session, and they come in into groups of 7 or 10, and
so
we
efficient.
onboard them. Yeah, so it was, and what we realized too, we used to do them one-on-one, and that's when it was very expensive, and you got to pay for that person to do that interview.
So you're figuring out these efficiencies in the market. And then so you get a bunch of people on, then how do you create, and I understand that, you go to a bunch of meetups, you can find some people who are home health attendants by just going and looking on Craigslist. How do you get the demand side? You just do AdSense or Facebook ads? How do you get the demand side going?
To answer the last question, supply side, we look at a lot of CNA schools and we go there. And so originally it was the listing services, but we're starting to target CNAs a lot more, Red Cross. There's a lot of avenues where we can get really high quality people very quickly. On the demand side, it is very organic. Like there is no silver bullet, right? I mean, we certainly do the obvious things. We're really well SEO'd. We do ads on, we buy ads, of course, but there's most of our clients are coming just from referrals. I mean, we've got 5-star reviews on Yelp, when people go and they read those and they trust what other people have said. And so what we do is we really encourage our clients to tell their friends and family about it. But when you're looking for a caregiver, the first thing you do is you ask your friends. You ask your friends and family to see, have you ever gone through this process before? You don't necessarily, you don't really have an avenue that you'd go to by default. And if you can't find someone through friends and family, you go to search. And so right now we get about 90% of our we've got about 90% of our leads from online, and that 10% is growing of offline channels. And so really tapping into hospitals and skilled nursing facilities and assisted living facilities. I mean, that's really where most home care agencies get most of their leads. And we haven't even really tapped into that yet. So that's just a really big opportunity for us.
All right, when we get back from commercial break, let's talk a little bit about mobile and what actually the caregivers do when they're on site, because I think that's the other half that's super interesting when we get back from these important messages. Yes, Audible. I love Audible. I've been using Audible literally for a decade. Long before Amazon actually bought them, I was a customer of Audible. They were in New Jersey. I think they still are. And Audible is my favorite app on my phone right now. I think I can say that. I think it's like Inside, Uber, Calm, Audible. It's in my top 5. And I'll tell you why. I like getting smarter. I like being entertained. And I have downtime, and I am the type of person who wants to use that downtime productively. Well, I love stories. I love knowledge. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I just want to get smarter. I want to be more worldly. I want to know what's going on in the world. And so I have what's called the Platinum subscription. It means I get like 20 different books a year, and I just pay one price a year. Maybe it's $200 or something. So I don't even think about getting audiobooks. I'm just like very risk-taking. I just download stuff all the time. And you can go get a free audiobook right now, by the way, audible.com/twist, audible.com/twist, and use the promo code. You have to use a promo code. You just go to audible.com/twist. That's it. Very simple in your browser. And the book I want to tell you about is absolutely amazing. It's called Creativity, Inc., Overcoming the Unseen Forces That Stand in the Way of True Inspiration. And I am only halfway through this book, but it is by one of the co-founders of a little company you may have heard of called Pixar. And they made a film called Toy Story. And they had an investor who bought the company named Steve Jobs. And he bought it from a person named George Lucas. And they got bought by a company called Disney. Anyway, this is an amazing story because you hear about how close Pixar was to death, what it was like to work with Steve Jobs, what were Steve Jobs' failings, what was brilliant about Steve Jobs, and how absolutely terrible the movie Toy Story was. For some period of time before it was amazing. And this crazy relationship with Katzenberg at Disney. And it really gets into the whole history of Ed Catmull, this guy who basically wanted to make the first animated feature film. And then he made it with Toy Story, and it turned out better than ever. And that's when the story begins. I mean, you get his backstory, but then you get this whole amazing story of he was unfulfilled after that because he had achieved his life's goal, and now he had to come up with a new goal. And his new goal was to make Pixar a company for the ages, to really develop a culture. And so this book sits right next to Tony Hsieh's Delivering Happiness or Good to Great. And I could even hear a little bit of the Good to Great and the Steve Jobs autobiography in this book. And so I think if you're going to pick two other books, you know, the Steve Jobs autobiography, Good to Great, and even Tony Hsieh's Delivering Happiness, all great audiobooks. And this one is read by a guy named Peter Altschuler, and he is great. I'll play you a little bit right now.
In 1995, Toy Story debuted in America's theaters and became the largest Thanksgiving opening in history. Critics heralded it as inventive, brilliant, and...
So anyway, there you get it. And that's one of the things I love. I love the narrators. Some of these narrators on Audible are so amazing. And you can click, look at my website, on the website here. I sometimes will click at the narrator and go find other books that the narrator's done because I just love their voice. And the other thing that's a great feature in the product is they have go backwards 30 seconds and go forward 30 seconds. So you know when you have that ADD and you lose yourself in the audiobook because you get distracted. That happens to me all the time. I'm walking, I think of something, I write something in my pad. I'm like, oh my God, I missed that last minute. I just hit the rewind 30 seconds 3 times and I listen to it. Or if somebody says something particularly brilliant, I rewind 3 times. I just hit it, tap, 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 boom. If it's getting a little bit slow and I think, oh my God, this is kind of arduous, you can put it on 1.5 speed or 2.5 speed or 2 speed. So sometimes I'm listening to something and somebody gets self-indulgent and I'm just like, you know what, this part of the book is kind of boring to me. I'm going to go 1.5 or 2x. Anyway, there's a million different ways to do that. And if you want to win an iPad mini, which is a great way to store all your books and have like incredible battery life. That's what I do is I keep Audible on both devices because I don't ever want to lose my Audible because of battery. Email us your Audible confirmation to audible@launch.co and we'll pick somebody for an iPad mini. Just email your sign up to audible@launch.co, audible.com/twist. Let's get back to this amazing program. Go get Creativity, Inc. I'm halfway through it, and I have to tell you, it's amazing. I'd love to talk to somebody about it. 12 hours, 52 minutes. Okay, let's get back to the program. Hey, welcome back to This Week in Startups. It's me, Jason Calacanis, your host. And on the program today, Kyle Hill, the co-founder and CEO of Home Hero, of which I am lucky to be an angel investor, because I saw this and I just said, Thumbtack and Uber-like in its ability to scale and solve problems for people. Now, when I was talking to you about angel investing in the company, I said, so what happens once they're on site? Do you have a mobile app? Do you take pictures or videos? Because I just thought, my gosh, when my daughter goes to school, one of the things that sold me on her preschool was they take pictures, they share them with you. Mm-hmm. And now I'm in a new school here in San Francisco, and they actually have a group using my group software where I can see all the pictures of all the kids and all the activities they're doing. And like I see it during the day, so it sort of connects me to it. So I just thought, my God, my family would have loved the 5 kids of my grandmother, her kids, and then the 15 grandkids would love to have seen pictures of grandma on a more regular basis and emails and just stories about what's going on with her because people are spread to the, 4 corners of the country. So what happens when they're on site and how do you use technology you talked about how, post-selection, you can do a lot of good what are the good things you can do after I've selected my home hero?
So we manage all the scheduling and the payments for you. So that makes it a lot easier. The family's still dictating the schedule, but when the caregiver gets to the home, they're going to clock in. Right now, it's just on a landline. And a landline is one of those things like the same thing that Order Ahead uses fax machines, whereas one of those just like simple, dumb technologies that just are really efficient. So you can't clock in until you're at the landline phone, right? So, we do verify that it's coming from a landline and not their cell phone. So they get to the shift, the home, they clock in, and then they put their ID number.
So they call into like Twilio or just your call desk?
We use I think it's a Twilio API, and then they they'll clock
genius.
in. They put their ID number, and then when they leave, they clock out. And then we have an automated billing. We hit the credit card. We do an ACH transfer right into the bank account of the caregivers. The awesome part for the caregivers is they get paid within 24 hours of their shift.
Wow!
With a home care agency, they get paid monthly, maybe bi-monthly if they're lucky. So these caregivers are getting paid within 24 hours, and with the specific demographic that we're dealing with, money right away is really important. So
usually they're getting cash in a lot of situations. I can remember the caregiver for my grandmother would be coming around to my mom to get cash, and that was key because some of these people were living, in fact, week to week, month to month. These were not like rich people, blue collar, salt of the earth, good people working hard.
And often, and think about this too, is like you don't live with your grandmother typically, so getting them that money is usually a pain. I know my dad would leave a stack of cash in an envelope and tell her to take money after every shift.
That's efficient.
Honor
system.
What he was doing. But
there's a bucket of $100 bills over there. Just take one every time you leave. It's cool.
And that's what my dad was doing, and that's what millions of people in the United States are doing because they don't know any better. They don't know about Venmo or Google Wallet, and so facilitating those tools for them is one of the things we do. So scheduling payments,
they're there. You're getting them the payment quickly and efficiently because I've already got my bank. You've got their bank account, and then you take what 10%, 20%, 50%.
15%. Yeah,
15%.
That's the kind of the golden number for a lot of marketplaces, and we're not trying to be too innovative there.
But now, what about the people who you're up against? These,
60%.
What?
60%. Caregivers will.
They take 40%. The caregiver gets 60.
So $25 an hour. The caregiver takes home $9.
Whoa. Wait a second.
On a good caregiver, like really top of the line caregivers in the home care agencies, $11 an hour.
Wow, they're killing them.
And
this is exactly the Uber story where these dispatch companies, these bastards were taking all the profits for doing nothing.
Yeah. But I honestly, Jason, it's not because they're greedy. It's because they're highly inefficient.
No.
It's
like Kyle, they are greedy bastards. 100%. They're
fine.
greedy. That's very magnanimous of you to say, but I've seen this movie before. These intermediaries, you're right, they're inefficient, but they're also greedy bastards. I can tell you that because I know, because I was paying the guy. I'll tell you the Uber story where I knew I had made the right investment. I got picked up by Carry Car. I used to take Carry Car service, right? This is like the baller, $125 from the airport. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to treat myself. I was trying to be like a hot shot. I'm going to use Carry, right? Because it was cheaper ones. You take a cab. So for a little while, I started doing that for a year. Then Uber comes out. And then the guy picks me up from Uber. And I notice he has the Carry sign in the window. So I thought it wasn't my cab. And I said, "Oh, are you Uber or Carry?" He goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I put the wrong sign up." He takes the sign down, right, the sign in the front. And I said, "Did you take me the last time I was here?" He's like, "Yeah, you're the guy, right?" And when we start talking again, I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You're on Uber now?" He's like, "Yeah, I've been on Uber this whole time." I was like, "I used to pay you $125 to take me from the airport. With Uber, I'm charging you $60." He goes, "Yeah, you know what? I'm actually making more
money."
How is that possible? When I was 80 or something.
But you have this huge margin in the middle, and that's a lot. That is the sweet spot for marketplaces to jump in and say, "This is what we're going to play. We're going to charge the clients less. We're going to give the caregivers more. We're going to give the supply side more."
So much better.
That's where you have innovative technology.
Are you on the radar of these people who are charging $25 an hour and then paying out 9 or 10 or 11? Do they even know who you are yet?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they know.
They must be so pissed.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that they can. Some of our caregivers still work for agencies, the same way that Uber drives for Lyft, drives for Sidecar, whatever. Yeah. I don't care.
Or Carry.
But the reality is they know that they're going to make more money with Home Hero, and
get paid faster.
And they're going to get paid faster. And to finish the point of what the other advantages we have of once you're in the home, at the end of every shift, they actually leave a voice message of what they're doing that day, and we send that in just an MP3 to the family. What the hell's going on today?
In an MP3 by an email attachment.
It's super simple. So
Wow, that's lo-fi and brilliant.
It's super simple right now, but our product vision is and where we're going to take this is really completing that feedback loop and giving that family more. Can we give them medication reminders? Can we give them photos every day? Can we give them attach photos, a video? Can we give them like a glucose reading? Can we give them blood pressure readings?
Or just a feed. Like anything. I would like a feed where I could see those things and then talk back to. I would like to talk back.
Text messaging service between the caregiver, task reminders.
When they put the video in, I say, you know what? That reminds me. Tell grandma tomorrow that I remember this, and I remember when we watched this episode of Gilligan's Island, and here I put it in her iTunes account, or just remind her of the episode of whatever we watched together, or the song, and play that song for her, please. Like, it could just make everybody have like a slightly better life and experience, the feed.
And it could be simple things for task reminders, take out the trash, feed the cat, don't forget to anything that, don't forget to do the laundry today, any other tasks that you just think at the last minute that you want done, just having that constant communication with the caregiver. And then obviously you can move the check-in and check-out to like GPS, or maybe it's iBeacons. There's a lot of technology that is going to emerge that we're going to start taking advantage of. And the final one I think is most interesting are there's a lot of preventative measures that you can do in the homes where maybe it's Alzheimer's, right? Maybe there's some tests that you can take to help the family keep in touch with the actual health of their mother or father. Right. And so just getting a reminder of like, are they happy today? Are they sad today? Like that's not enough, but actually getting medical data that they can start tracking over time and using to predict and prevent more serious diseases, that's when you start getting into some really interesting opportunities for the families to really keep in touch with their loved ones. So.
Yeah, and can I tip the person who is the caregiver? Because is that like standard to give them a little something extra or not? You
have the full discretion to dictate your rate and what you pay each day. So we don't set rates. We're not we're not allowed to. I mean, we're
as a marketplace, you don't want to kick in that.
And we did originally, but we just realized that if you want to come in there and you want to pay, what we actually found is we actually opened up to allow the caregivers to set their own rates. And some of the caregivers would put $22 an hour and we're like, hey guys, like that's too much, right? But then we found they were getting booked more than anyone else sometimes because some people would go in there and they would actually look for the most expensive caregivers because they wanted the highest quality ones.
Yeah, it's called the whale.
Yeah, so
it's called the whale.
We just finally took our hands off and said, listen, you charge whatever you want. We're guaranteeing the quality of these caregivers. We're guaranteeing that every single person on our platform, we would send into our own mothers and fathers' homes, hands down. Just like Travis said, every single Uber driver, like I would get into that car and feel safe, right? And I would have them drive my mother around, right? And it's the same thing here. It's the same thing with Dog Vacay. You should trust every single host on Dog Vacay with your own dog. And if that's not the case, get them off. It's not like eBay where we sell broken items. Like everything is high quality here. Uber, if you go under 4.6%, you're off the system.
Something like that,
yeah, whoever it is. So for us, it's like—
Have you had to kick people out? Is that like happened yet?
Yeah.
And so— That's amazing. If you do that, you're really keeping the marketplace super clean and people can feel really good about it.
And we've been lucky. It's not for serious reasons, but a lot of time it's just showing up late to appointments. We don't take that lightly.
Ooh, yeah.
If you're 30 minutes late to an appointment, that's strike one. If you do it again, you're out.
Wow.
So
2 strikes, you're out.
Yeah. And all we care about is if you call in advance and say I'm going to be late, you get kind of a pass. But if you're just missing appointments or you're showing up late or there's health or safety issues in the home, we take those pretty seriously.
Is this your first startup? How old are you?
No, I'm 28.
You're 28.
And I've worked, my co-founder is Mike Townsend, and we've worked together on a handful of different startups for the last 5 years.
You've had a couple of other ones together.
Yeah, it's not our first rodeo. Definitely the biggest company we've worked with, been a part of, the fastest growing. We worked on a company called FlowTab. It was flowtab.com.
I remember FlowTab, yeah.
We had a pretty interesting exit. We actually open sourced the entire company when we were
What was FlowTab?
Down.
I remember, yeah.
It was an ordering and payment application for bars and nightclubs.
Yep.
And so you could order and pay, and we went into restaurants.
I remember meeting you guys during that.
It was a super fun company to be a part of, really difficult to scale. The business model didn't make a lot of sense.
So you learned something from that?
Learned a ton, especially about product.
What was the big mistake?
I think that throwing logs on a fire before you have a fire, I think was one mistake we made. We were scaling out into Denver and Los Angeles and San Francisco before we even knew enough about our products, or we even knew we had product market fit. And so you can see that with Home Hero, we're doing things a lot differently to say we're really just going to dominate, focus on LA first, and understand that the same way, say Uber just concentrated, or Lyft concentrated right on San Francisco before scaling. So that was the first one. And really, we weren't solving a problem. It wasn't a problem. It was something that it's like a discomfort, but it wasn't a big world problem that somebody. How
do you know something's a discomfort or something's like a true problem? Like now you've actually can see the difference pretty clearly. Like finding a home attendant problem, ordering more efficiently at a bar. Kind of like it's not like anybody's in a bar starving.
Yeah, and we were taking out a necessary human component of the social scene. You go there not to get drinks, you go there to meet people, right? And so we were kind of taking that away. But it led us to Mike Jones and Science, and he was an advisor at our last company, and so there were a lot of positives from it. And we open sourced everything and did a post-mortem on the website to just explain every single strategic decision we made. Some were really good, some were bad.
Oh, that's good content marketing.
Yeah,
so you basically did like a whole dissection.
Yeah, TechCrunch picked it up. It was actually the longest article ever written by TechCrunch.
Wow.
And
how long was it? 10,000 words?
It was a long
it's a little
article,
ebook.
But it was the rise and fall of FlowTab or something. And but it was great because we got contacted by a lot of entrepreneurs that said, thank you for doing this, right? Because we were going to go and do the same thing in Australia, and thank you for sharing your story so we won't waste 3 years of our lives trying to do the same thing. Yeah. And we're like, guys, I don't care if you go into the bar market, just do it differently, right? Don't make the same mistakes we did.
Yep.
We're at the end of the day, as entrepreneurs, we're scientists, right? Yeah. Like we go, we experiment, we make mistakes, and we try new things. It doesn't mean we're bad scientists. It just means we didn't find the cure yet.
Yeah.
Right. And so Mike and I look at that and say, it doesn't mean we're bad entrepreneurs because it failed. Like we're supposed to fail. Statistically, 99% of startups fail. But we learned it, and we're not going to make the same mistakes again.
Probably more like 70 or 80%.
Yeah.
I kind of like investing in startups that I think are going to fail, although in this case I don't think they are, but I kind of like the stuff that feels hard.
It's risky, right?
It's risky. Like your thing was hard, I think, when Mike Jones and the Science folks brought you into the incubator. I think after coming out of there, it feels like there's less risk now because you've got people actually using the product and you figured it out. And it seems like you're going to have just huge, tremendous success. You talked a lot about this sort of throwing logs on a fire that's not actually a good fire and then just putting out your own fire kind of thing and expanding. How do you make sure you don't do that now? Because I know when we talked, you guys were actually, we had a conversation about that. Is how do we go to multiple markets? Do you open up to all markets or do you go slowly? What are you doing? What's your rollout plan?
Yeah. So, the short answer is we're going to understand our market as best we can in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a huge market. I mean, you're looking at a huge percentage of the home care market is in LA. Just there's a lot of seniors there, and so it is a great testing
Why are there a lot
ground.
of seniors there? People live a long time, or people send their people there?
It's weather a lot. The same reason people are in Florida.
So people retire there. You're saying?
Yeah, up in the valley, huge Orange County, like very big hotspots.
Yeah. San Diego
money there too. There's a lot of money in Los
affluent,
Angeles,
so you can actually afford. Yeah, it's not like grandma's going to be or grandpa's going to be in the basement. Like they maintain their own house, and then some kids have the money to actually send a home attendant.
It is a luxury to age in place. I think you can send somebody to a nursing home and let them live out their last days in a nursing home. But if you survey the United States, and I've seen these surveys, 92% of seniors want to age in their homes, right?
Yeah, this senior does. Man, I'm 43. Does, right? I'm just telling London right now. This is a message to my daughter. Do not put me. I made a lot of bank in this lifetime, and I'm giving it all to you. Do not put me in one of those old age homes. I want a home hero, and I want you showing up to London.
Yeah, bring the care to you. And so,
God, I hope my daughter sticks around and like make sure. I'm going to be a great dad now. I am going to be the greatest dad
it comes
ever.
Yep.
Because when I get old and senile, I want my daughter to feel so guilty that she is there all the time. Yeah. I do not want to be alone.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that we noticed too is that a lot of families think that they can be the primary caregiver for their mother or father, but a lot of them aren't skilled or trained enough to do it.
Also, it's exhausting. You want to. The other thing is like
it takes a lot of life out of you.
Yeah. Listen, my mom, God bless her, is the caregiver for her entire extended family, and I'm like, Mom, you don't have to change the sheets and clean the bathroom and make sure she brushes her teeth. Why don't you just have dinner with her or play cards with her or watch a TV show with her, not the exhausting other tasks. Let's get somebody else in there to help grandma with that stuff, right? And we had to convince my mom to do that, but she was riddled with guilt, you're right, to like want to do all those menial tasks, to look things that have to be done every day and, whatever it is.
So to answer your question on our rollout,
there was a question there.
Yeah, right. we are tracking where we get a lot of the leads and the demand from, and so we have essentially you can think of it as a heat map of where all those demand those requests are coming from.
Yeah.
And so I think there's obvious cities where we want to be, but then we're like, oh, San Francisco, that sounds nice, but like really, if you think about it, like what actually makes sense from a rollout strategy, it's where the most demand is. So we've already started kind of seeding like areas of and understanding the supply in some of those cities. So when it's ready to launch there, we already have kind of a supply in place. And so there is a lead time up to that, and we're going to need anywhere from 200 to 300 caregivers in a city before we can actually launch there. So it's going to probably be Los Angeles, and then we'll go into the retirement communities, Arizona, Florida. We'll probably stay in some of the southern states first, and then move our way up.
That's fantastic. Hey, let me ask you a question, or maybe you tell me if you mind me asking a question. Sure. You're a non-white founder, right? And you hear a lot about like, oh my God, the industry is so biased. There's discrimination in the industry. Like it's a certain contingent of people who feel like this industry stops people who are, white men have it so easy, and then anybody else not white is whatever. What are your thoughts on race in this industry? I wonder. Well, we've never talked about it, but I had, a female founder on recently, and I just think it's good to talk about it a little bit. So tell me what your experience has been and what you think.
I think that growing up, I was very lucky that I had two college-educated parents. I think it's the first part. And so I think I put a strong emphasis on education. Yeah. I was given a lot of opportunities growing up. I went to a very good high school. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio. I went to a good private school. I went to Pomona College, and I was given—
You had a privileged childhood.
I had a very privileged childhood. And so, but it came down to education. My dad didn't make a lot of money. My dad was a professor at Ohio State, and he just valued education, and they kept me out of trouble. And so I think a lot of it really comes down to helping other young minorities, just keeping them on the right track. And then a lot of it was confidence. I think a lot of it, throughout my childhood, they instilled a lot of confidence in me to say, like Mike Jones, for example, like I cold emailed Mike Jones, and it was only because I just thought that I had this young little startup that was FlowTab, and I thought I was kind of hot stuff, and that I had the confidence to actually go out there and like put myself in front of him and say, this is my startup and this is what we're doing, and I would really just encourage a lot of other young minorities to just take a risk, because in this business, I think a lot of the investors, they really do. There is a lot of equality, but I think that they just need to understand that you are no lesser than anyone else. Right. You have just the same opportunities of success.
That was something inside of you.
Yeah, just go after it.
So you think in a lot of cases maybe some minorities might not be confident enough to go out and they just need to be a little more confident in going out and saying like, hey, I'm worthy of this meeting.
I'm worthy, and I should be here. I deserve to be here. Right. And so that's one of it. And then
maybe makes people think that maybe they're not. And so whose responsibility is that? And maybe it's like a perception thing, like, oh my God, there's a bunch of white guys at this conference. Maybe they don't care about people who are not white. Like maybe it's like they're reading into it a little bit.
On the other side, I think there does need to be greater opportunities. I think there's going to be more money invested into introducing entrepreneurship to young people at a really early age.
Absolutely.
I didn't even come into entrepreneurship until after college. I was going down the finance road and like selling my soul, and I was lucky enough to snap back. And I just think that
before it was too late.
Right. But going into colleges, going into high schools, and saying like, let's start cookie companies and lemonade companies and little clothing companies, and getting young people, and it's not just minorities, it's just all young people, like getting them, just making them more aware from an early age that these things are possible.
Now, what about when you met with people? So you email Mike Jones. Did you get the sense when he's not going to know from his email that you're not a white founder?
Yeah.
You meet with him. Do you think you get treated differently, or have you been treated differently because you're not a white founder?
I think tech is one of those industries, and I can't speak for other industries, but it is becoming much more colorblind. And you look at Home Hero for us, example, we're adopting a a virtual team. We're moving toward this kind of this virtual mindset. We have engineers in Argentina, in the Philippines, in Ukraine. We have people working in support in Manila, and I think that you start valuing people based on the quality of their work,
right?
Much less than you do the color of their skin or their ethnic background. And it really is, at the end of the day, we at home here, like, we want to find the best entrepreneurs and the best workers, and it doesn't matter. Everything else doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Male, female, black, white, you can be any corner of the globe. We want to find the best people.
I have to say, the pitch that worked with me with you guys was I just, I don't know anybody's race, obviously, until I meet with them, but just looking at your growth and the metrics, I was like, well, metrics are metrics. I don't care who's on the, and obviously I don't care anyway otherwise, male, female, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Indian. God, so many of the people I invested in are Indian now. Yeah. I never thought I would be in business with so many. I mean, I've got Sri Lankan, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan. I mean, I can't believe how many different people in that region I am in business with now. So that's very encouraging. That's super encouraging, I think, because I've always felt like this is one of the most performance-based industries, But then people tell me I'm wrong and that I don't get it, and I'm sort of trying to be open about what I don't get and make sure that, because it was interesting when we had, I think it was Catherine from what's her company? I just forgot for a second. You can tell me on the hip chat. The Muse, and she would, thank you. She said she had a terrible experience at a Y Combinator event early on. This was very interesting, where people thought because she was a woman, there were no male speakers, so she just thought no male speakers here. So that kind of impacted her a little bit, it's all guys or all boys club. But people kept asking her at the event who she was there with, who was her boyfriend, who was starting a Y Combinator company. She was like, oh,
no, it's mine. Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
They'll learn really quickly, Yeah. It's just, like you said, here's my deck, here are my numbers, and that's nothing else matters, right?
It really is nothing else matters. I have to tell you, I just look at the last, and I didn't even think about it with you, oh my God, it's a minority founder. But looking back at the last 10 investments I've done, I think the majority are either female or non-white founders. And it's you don't even think about it, but it's so much more diverse today than it was just 5 or 10 years ago. I saw no female pitches 5, 10 years ago, almost none. Literally, and that's only 5 or 6 years ago. There were not many females starting businesses. Now, I'm getting hit up on Angel List constantly by female founders. It's absolutely wonderful to see this change in the space. So, what's next for you guys other than expanding by territory? Because it does seem to me that there are the nurses, and nurses make visits. Can you go upstream to nurses and kind of have the way, Uber has UberX, and is there a layer below that would be an UberX layer to Home Hero? Yeah. They provide multiple service levels at Uber. Are you going to have multiple service levels?
Well, so Mike and I specifically, we obsess about marketplaces, and we if there's a marketplace, we could tell you anything about it. And
which one's the most impressive to you? That's a good
most impressive. I think companies like Handybook are doing a really good job. Postmates, those are all very interesting companies. We've learned a lot from them, just watching them grow. And then we've learned from the ones that, not to call anybody out, but some are struggling a little bit more. And I know TaskRabbit hasn't seen quite the
people
growth
are
that they
perplexed. Why do you think TaskRabbit has gone sideways?
Well, so I think I would probably bundle them with Zarly as well. Zarly, I have a lot of respect for them. They have an awesome CTO and they've got a great group. I think they just bit off too much. And so what's going to happen is with TaskRabbit, the same thing that's happening and is happening to Care.com. Care.com, they're like, we're going to be everything for everything, right? And Zarly, we're going to be everything for everyone. TaskRabbit, we're going to be just anything you need done, right?
Right.
But they really fail to understand and get into the mindset of each unique circumstance. I think the big exception is Thumbtack, because they went in and they really understood if you're going to get a painting done and you're going to get your house painted, we're going to ask you the most specific damn questions about painting that you could ever imagine. And I was blown away when I went in there for I was going to replace my windowsills, my blinds, and I went in there and they asked me 30 specific, are they horizontal or vertical blinds? Are they wooden or are they plastic? Are they they really understood each of those?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up on my screen here. It's like, look, I need a painter. I need an interior painter. Boom, you click interior painter. It's like, okay, tell us what your needs are. Master bedroom, kitchen.
Yeah.
No, I need a kitchen. Boom. And then
Very
it's like, what
specific.
surfaces will be painted? The walls or the ceiling or the trim or the cabinets? Boom. Doors, windows. What is the approximate square footage of your project? 2,000 square feet. All right, repainting it the same color, repainting it to change color, decorative painting, faux finishes, texture, mural, boom. What do you describe the kitchen, the condition? Poor. So you're saying like just getting into the zone.
They understand their customers. So I think the problem with TaskRabbit and Zarly and some of these others is they tried to bite off too much. And you're looking at if you look at care.com, like we're going to kill their senior side. Dog Vacay is going to kill their dog walking. Urban Sitter is going to kill their babysitting like channel. And each of them are going to do it better than care.com can do.
So it's focus. Focus is what makes a marketplace.
Yeah. So when I look at it and you say, well, we've got a $40 to $60 billion market in senior care, why would we ever go into home health?
I mean, if we can talking about the 1%, if we can do 1% of that $60 billion, my God, we're gonna make so much money, Kyle.
It's just that alone, I think
is gonna be awesome. Yeah. How much money did I put in this company? Can I double my investment? I gotta put more money in.
But the reality is that home health is very interesting, but it's a completely different animal, completely different supply, completely different onboarding process, different demand, different customers.
It's so detailed, and you're gonna have to be.
We can do it, but just not. It's not even on our to-do list right now.
It seems like you found the place where like there's such a need, and you can do so. What I love about the business too, I'll be honest. Like I was joking here about how much money we're going to make. Listen, I made enough money, number one. But number two, like I'm just happy to see you guys succeed and make something that makes the world better. Like I feel so good about what you're doing because having been through this with my grandmother, God rest her soul, and watching my poor mom suffer through her care and to get the caregivers, like we're going to do so much good for these poor people who in their last 10 or 20 years of lives and all this dementia and Alzheimer's that my poor grandmother went through and other people are going through. Like, you need help. This is too hard to do. It's just too hard, isn't it? Like, we got to make it easier for people.
One kind of heartfelt story that I could tell you real quick is we had one of our caregivers. They just developed a really, really strong relationship with the senior, and she is approaching 90 years old and almost getting to the age where she can no longer travel. And the family decided that they were going to send her back. She was going to go to Greece, where she was from, and wanted to bring our caregiver with her. And so the caregiver is now accompanying her back to kind of her birthplace because she's never seen it. And they're going back there, and we're just like, we're hearing this story and we're like, wow, like we're actually affecting people's lives here, right?
That's
like this
awesome,
isn't drinks and bars anymore. I mean, we're really helping people, and the family trusts this caregiver, our caregiver, enough to send them halfway across the globe with this person who we've screened and picked. And so I think those are things that get us up in the morning to say, man, we're actually making a difference. This is something big.
Well, hey, listen, Kyle, I am so excited to be in business with you guys, and I think it's going to be a tremendous success. I think you're executing at an extremely high level. People ask me like, hey, Jason, how do you make your investment decisions? Let me tell you how I make investments. It's very simple. One, I can look in the eyes and I can see the eye of the tiger. Boom. That's like my special gift in life. Like I'm a mutant. When I look at somebody and I hear them talk about their business, I just immediately know if like, you know, when Professor X puts Cerebro on and he can find the mutants, like I know the entrepreneurial mutants. I looked at you, Kyle, and I was like, this guy's going to crush it. If not this, some other business, but he's going to crush it at some point. But you understand your market so well. And I have to say, so many entrepreneurs I meet with, I ask them questions, I pepper them with questions. They don't know their market. So I'm asking questions. They can't answer them. I got Bryce sitting next to me looking up the answers on Google in 2 seconds. You knew the business so inside and out. So when I saw you had the eye of the tiger, when I saw you understood the business, but you didn't grow up in this business, you learned it. And then the execution. So when somebody's got the eye of the tiger, they understand their business, and they're executing at a high level. Your website was so beautiful, so well designed. Like those are all the clues that you should invest in somebody. So I don't mean to educate other angel investors, but if the person knows their market really well and they're executing well, they're going to have a really good chance of succeeding. You know your market well and you are executing well. That's all you have to do to be successful in this world is know your market and execute hard. You guys are doing that, so I'm so excited. Hey, listen, if you are, I'm sorry to be so excited about your business. People are going to think now, I just want to also say to the fans of the show, don't think just because I'm angel investing a lot more that I'm just picking people to be on the show because I angel invest them. The people who I'd have on the show because they're doing interesting things, I'm also happen to be investing in. So let's not get the signaling wrong here. I would have had you on the show either way if I wasn't an investor. I mean, I had Postmates on the show. I'm not an investor in them. They're doing a great job
Correlation,
too, right?
not causality, right?
Yeah, there's a correlation causality thing here, I think. Like, just because you're on the show doesn't mean, whatever. Anyway, Home Hero is going to change the world, and Kyle is going to do it. Everybody, what is your domain name?
It's .org. We have the .com too. It's a funny story.
Homehero.org.
Yeah, it was.
But now you're homehero.com. Well, you have both. Okay.
Well,
What's
it's
the story?
homehero.org. The .com we actually bought from. They were a fire extinguisher sold at Home Depot, and before this, and it's a funny story. We have it on our website, but it was a guy down in Florida. He had a home care business, or he had a home repair business, and he got sued by Home Depot because they had these fire extinguishers, and the little guy in Florida spent all his money, and he actually won the lawsuit, and so
Awesome.
Home Depot had to stop selling their fire extinguishers.
Genius.
And then we got the rights from him, and about a week ago, Mike bought a bunch of fire extinguishers off of eBay
just to have them as mementos. All right, everybody go to Home Hero, and you can follow Kyle on the Twitter, Kaleezy, Kale, like Cal, AZY. How do I pronounce that?
Kaleazy, Kaleezy. It was my design firm that I had a long time ago. It's Kaleezy.
Like Khaleesi.
Yeah, well,
It was before Khaleesi on Game of Thrones, but Khaleesi. And you guys are going to just be great. Hey, and thanks to my friends over at Science, Peter and Mike, for introducing me to you guys and telling me, hey, Jason, this is going to be a big winner. You should get involved. I am so excited to be involved. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks, Jackie and Jacob, for doing a great job with the program. The show's hitting a high water mark because of our Emmy award-winning producer, Jackie, and our extremely talented producer, Jacob. Great job, and we'll see you next time on This Week in Startups. Bye-bye.